It's time now for the political analysis of Fromm and Fuller. Al Fromm, former political advisor to President Bill Clinton, and Craig Fuller, former political advisor to both Presidents Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush. Good morning, all. Al, the first 100 days is now over for the Trump administration, and the polls have come in. It's historically low for any American president, at least in the last 50 years. And, you know, it's my contention that Donald Trump could care less about his poll numbers. He is not going to be running for re-election. He seems to be having a good time. He's having his cabinet tell the world that things have never been better. So what's your take?
Well, I think my take is a little different than yours. I think these numbers do mean something because the truth is they're all self-inflicted. He could have just ridden the good Biden economy, but he decided to do his crazy tariff regime, and it has just absolutely thrown everything out of kilter. Why do I think these numbers? I mean, obviously these numbers are, as you said, historically low. He's underwater not only in his personal approval ratings, in his performance approval ratings, but for every issue, including the ones he likes to talk about, like immigration. And it's because of the chaos that his policies have caused. It's because of the vindictiveness, the sense of retribution, just the overall nastiness, I think, of his administration. The American people are basically good people, and they want their president to behave in a civil manner, and he is not behaving in a civil manner. But here's why I think it's possible that these numbers could mean something. The first thing is that we haven't seen it yet. I am confident that over the next 9 to 12 months, we're going to see a shift among a number of Republicans in the Congress in terms of their support for Trump. Because I've never been around a politician whose first instinct isn't survival. And his numbers are going to drag House Republicans, particularly in swing districts, down. And if they stay as bad as they are, and frankly, I think they'll probably get worse because we really haven't felt the greatest damage from his policies yet, but it's just the anticipation of it that has really driven his numbers down. So I think those numbers will get worse, and I think it might even affect a number of senators. Trump personally, while he's got a lot of bravado and he'll lie and he'll get all those people to praise him, he doesn't like low numbers, and he doesn't like to be disliked. And so he has a penchant for, in circumstances like this, rapidly reversing course. I mean, he's already done it a few times with the tariffs. He just doesn't quite understand the damage that tariffs do to the whole economy and the mindset of the business people have to run it. But I think it's actually going to get worse because there are a number of economic indicators that indicate that we still haven't seen rises yet overall in inflation and unemployment, but there are a number of really important indicators that indicate that it's going to get a lot worse. We had the GDP numbers yesterday with the economy growing, declining by a little bit. Now that's deceptive. Because the way they calculated it with imports and exports, and because of the tariffs, people were importing much more. I mean, tariffs were supposed to block the imports, but what they did is they made people import even more. And so the trade deficit was even more last month because because people wanted to get ahead of the tariffs. So that's a little deceptive. But Craig has mentioned in past weeks consumer confidence. I mean, it's down in some places to the lowest point since, I think, World War II. And that's not a good sign. Another thing that people don't talk a lot about, but is evident, is that the number of container ships coming into our ports. I saw a report yesterday from either Los Angeles or Long Beach that said, where the guy said, who runs the port, said, we had 7 container ships in today. Normally we'd have 12 to 14. That's almost 50% decline. What does that mean? What that means is there are going to be less goods, and less goods mean less, jobs for truck drivers who have to deliver them. It means higher prices, and for stores like Walmart and Target and some of the other stores that are low price goods with a lot of goods from China, it's going to mean their shelves could be bare. And Trump, of course, it's clear that his reaction was really interesting. He said, instead of $30 for Christmas, you'll get 2, and they'll cost a little bit more. Well, that may make him feel good. I don't think it's going to make a lot of consumers feel good. It's clear he's worried because and the evidence of that is his call to Jeff Bezos about Amazon, where he told Bezos not to list the tariff tax as part of the cost of the goods as the prices went up. Well, eventually business people are going to do that, and if they don't do it, the Democrats, who had any sense, would have a thermometer every day that shows how much the tariff tax is costing consumers and their goods. Look, I mean, to me, the bottom line is you can't destroy a world economic order that, for really ever since World War II has made us the richest, most prosperous economy in the world. You can't destroy that and not expect great harm. And I think most of the American business community expects that harm to come. I think consumers will see it. And over the next few months, I would imagine if prices go up and the economy slows, Trump's numbers will even go deeper.
Craig, and we've seen this movie before. I mean, he continues to say that these polls are fake, that the mainstream media is out to get him. And, I don't know if we're all in the same reality zone.
Well, I think that's a very good point. I first of all, I agree with all the points Al made. I too think that these polls matter because they are uniformly bad. You can't go anywhere on the first 100-day analysis and find any, positive message. Even Fox News was running commentators talking about, this is really bad. I don't believe that Trump ignores them. I think he hates them, but I think he flips over to the natural offense or defense that he engages in, which is to deny. But they matter because serious people are reading them. In his White House, Susie Wiles is a political operative. She ran campaigns. She knows they're in trouble. She knows this isn't working. They keep sending the cabinet out into the cabinet room for that grand kabuki dance they all did about telling him what a wonderful leader he was. It was, I've never seen anything like it. So they keep propping him up. They keep telling him he's doing great. He tells the world he's doing great. He had the most extraordinary interview with ABC News in the Oval Office about, how good things were going. And not only does he deny the polls, he suggested that the pollsters should be investigated for campaign fraud. That somehow all of them had conspired to put out bad numbers. But the fact that serious people pay attention to Al's very point, people who run senatorial campaigns, people who run congressional campaigns. Every member of Congress in the House is up for re-election. A third of the senators are up for re-election next year. And if they're a Democrat, they're cheering. If they're a Republican, they're now in fear of just what the president is going to do and the administration is going to do to pull them down. The other reason they're important, I have a suspicion that Trump's first 100 days are going to be the best 100 days he has. Because look at what's set up ahead of him. First of all, we have summer. All the conditions Al talked about are true. Even if Trump comes off of tariffs, you're not going to reignite the economy. And shipping is what shipping is. You're going to have shortages. More and more people talk about going into a recession. We've already had the first quarter. All we need is the next quarter. We'll be officially in a recession. Hopefully it won't be, damaging, but the very fact that we're in a recession or near a recession is a problem in the summer. It rolls into the fall, and where he has big legislative challenges to get something through with members of Congress. Remember, members of Congress now thinking, well, how do I position myself in these fall votes on the budget and continuing resolutions and all the other things that will come to set myself up for re-election in 2026. And then you have 2026, where the entire focus is going to be, which an off-year election, midterm elections are already all about, is a referendum on the president. And I don't see where Trump goes to correct the path that he's put himself on. He can keep backing off of his ideas, I guess. But but even in doing that, he's creating more uncertainty about where this administration stands. So I really think the one thing about the 100 days was that they did flood the zone. They did give us story after story on a daily, multiple stories on a daily basis. It was hard to keep track of all the things that were happening. But courts are going to roll back these initiatives. You've now got Elon Musk, going to work remotely, they say. He probably has cost the American people more money than he's actually going to save the American people. So none of these stories are going to help strengthen and promote this administration. And as I've said before, wise friend of mine once said, a president's either putting money in his political bank account or taking it out. And Trump has taken a lot out in the first 100 days, and my guess is the next 100 or 200 aren't going to go well for him at all.
Al, shifting gears a little bit, I do want to talk about something that was a little bit below the radar for many people, but it's really becoming what many people are calling the Trump coin scheme, which is a cryptocurrency project that I think it's called the World Liberty Finance, WLF. And basically people are buying Trump coins of significant value, which they don't have to record their identity. And Trump hasn't even talked about his own financial stake or limitations in that enterprise. I mean, this is rather incredible, isn't it?
It's not incredible for Donald Trump. I mean, remember where we come from. He refused to release his taxes. He was the first presidential candidate in decades not to release his taxes. He didn't divest any of his interests. Every other president who had money had to divest their interest or put them in a blind trust. Trump just kept going. He used his hotel in the first administration as a corruption center. He forced foreign visitors to stay in his hotel. There was a piece in the New York Times over the weekend by my friend Steve Rattner. I think most of you know Steve Rattner because he's the economic guy on Morning Joe. But Steve, and I reposted this incidentally in Craig and my Substack, The Political Whisperers. which y'all ought to subscribe to. In any event, it was about the corruption in this Trump's second administration and how the main beneficiary is Trump. And this crypto scheme is incredible. I mean, he just made up these coins. They're worth nothing. And they're worth absolutely nothing. And then he brings people into the to one of his golf clubs. I'm not sure which one. I think he really wanted to do this at the White House, but somehow it looks like that got detoured at the last moment, because the promise was if you're a big donor to this crypto scam, you get dinner with the president, over 200 people, and it was going to be a private tour of the White House. But the White House part of it was dropped, and it was done at one of his golf courses. But essentially, think about it. You're a big business, and you have to do a lot of business with the White House. And you know that the one thing Trump cares about more than anything else is himself and padding his own bank account. And so, what is it to go in there and invest tens of millions of dollars, even hundreds of millions of dollars, which is just a pittance of, your company's worth, in this scheme that pads basically, just go straight to Trump, and get favorable rulings on mergers and anything else you want to have from the White House. I mean, this is a pay-for-play White House, and this is just part of the scheme. I think, actually, that this corruption is going to emerge as a major issue. American people are going to feel poor. We didn't mention in the first part that he's also driven the stock market down more than any president since Richard Nixon's second term, I believe, in the first 100 days. And that affects people's wealth and their 401ks. A lot more people in the stock market now than there were when Nixon was president. So people are getting poor. Their prices are going to go up. Unemployment is likely to go up, and Trump's padding his pocket. It seems to me that will be another major issue. The real way we're going to get rid of all this stuff, and the real reason all these numbers matter, is because it's going to mean that in 2026, the Republicans are going to be in a very difficult position, and it's likely that if the Democrats don't screw up, incredibly, that they're going to win the House. And I think if trends keep going as they are, they're going to have a chance, even with a bad map, to win the Senate.
Craig, you have the last word.
Well, I think you're right that this story on the coins was a little under the radar, but that's because the New York Times broke it right in the middle of the first 100 days, week. But it isn't going away. In fact, I think we need to post a link to it in our story in the Spy, so that people that are interested can read it. But this is beyond anything we have ever seen. World Liberty Financial has partners, and one of the partners is a name we recognize, Steve Witkoff. You recognize him because he's Trump's envoy to the Middle East, and he's also trying to end the war in Ukraine. That's his sort of job. But his son is one of the founders of World Liberty Financial. Steve's also a founder now. He brings it to the attention of Eric and Donald Trump. And so the Trump family business corporation invests in this. They own 60% of World Liberty Financial. But interestingly enough, says the New York Times, the Trump family business actually gets up to 75% of the revenue that comes from selling these coins, the cryptocurrency. If I walked up or went to New York and met with Eric and Don Jr. With $30,000 in a suitcase and said, I'd like some consideration on policies or maybe pardons for people. By the way, all of this is going on with people who buy into this cryptocurrency thing. But if I did that, I'd be creating a serious, federal violation, serious, for which I should be investigated and indicted for $30,000. They're selling interest in World Liberty Financial for $30 million, not 30,000, 30 million. And it's a case, I think, where they say this sometimes about real estate in places like Aspen. It's a case where millionaires who were making huge, major political contributions are getting pushed out of the game by the billionaires who, for $30 million, if you can go to any party you want, or you can help get your friend pardoned, or you can meet with the Secretary of the Treasury, pretty good investment. Or how about state funds? Because a lot of the money is coming from foreign investors. And foreign investors can't play in the political process but they can buy this cryptocurrency, and Al's quite right. It has, the only value it has is the expectation it might go up. When initially it wasn't doing very well, but it was, after the election, suddenly a place to put money. So the value, perceived value of this is going up. So if somebody's multi-billionaire, 30 million that might increase in value, but it certainly gets them what they want, invitations to Mar-a-Lago and all that. It is just simply unthinkable that this scheme is going to be allowed to operate. So I think we're going to see not only more articles, I think we're going to have investigative reporters doing books. I think they're going to begin to uncover who these investors are, even though when you buy $30 million of cryptocurrency in the Trump coin, your name is not identified. It turns out that Donald and Eric like to interview these people, get to know them, find out how they can be helpful to them. And then there's, of course, young Eric, who says, this is the most successful venture the family's gotten into, which should tell you something. But my favorite of all, is that the person who's in charge of kind of the operation, running this operation, who Trump says if you put him on the board of Goldman Sachs or you put him into the financial world, he'd run circles around these investors. The guy's name is Zachary Falkman. Well, Zachary, before he got this job, was running a company called, I kid you not, Date Hotter Girls. This is who they put in charge of this. So one of the things that they've done, the administration has done, and it's tied back to administrative actions, is they got rid of about 100 SEC investigations that were going on with respect to cryptocurrency. Trump actually years ago said that cryptocurrency was a complete fraud and it was used by drug dealers and scammers. But now he is one, I guess. So but they got rid, the Trump administration got rid of 100 SEC actions that were aimed at cryptocurrency sellers, which, by the way, those actions are designed to protect the people who are investing money. But it was becoming a nuisance to the cryptocurrency leadership, and so somehow these have gone away. So I'm glad you raised the question. The article is fascinating. If people are interested, they should read the article. But I guarantee that you've got investigative reporters all over Washington looking at this New York Times article, and there'll be books on this one. I mean, it is, and honestly, Trump believes he is impervious to prosecution. He may well be. But the people that are involved in this, including his sons, are not. And while I'm not sure that the Attorney General of the United States will investigate them, a lot of this activity, financial activity in New York, could well be subject to New York investigators and prosecution there. So I think there's a huge mistake, and they're in for a very rough ride on it.
Well, that's all the time we have this week. Al Fromm, Craig Fuller, thanks so much indeed. We will see you next week.